Well, hello, Donna. I'm glad that you could join me today to talk a little bit about notes and mortgages.
Hi, Wendy. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Okay, so for those of you who don't know Donna, Donna Bauer is the original note buyer. She is an expert in buying notes, mortgages, performing, non-performing. She knows all about that topic. And it's a topic that I don't really know a lot about myself. I mean, of course, I understand the concepts, Donna, and I know what's kind of happens behind the scenes, but you and I have talked recently, and I'm really interested to know more about this topic myself because of some things that are changing in my investing career. So,
This is perfect for you right now.
yeah,
So many investors, they've been investing in properties, for most of their life. And when you get tired of the tenants, the trash, and the toilets, it's time to get into notes because you have all of the security of the real estate investment, but you don't have to deal with any of the headaches. So now is your time to start investing in notes, Wendy.
yeah, I'm really excited. Well, okay, so you and I talked a little bit before also. So, when landlords are looking to, now this is just one example of many of when notes and mortgages would be a great topic or a strategy for an investor. But for me, I said, hey, it's top of the market right now. I'm going to sell a lot of my properties and I'm going to sell them on notes. So I've held a seller holdback, right? Carryback
Seller
mortgage.
carryback.
Yep, seller carryback. And I'm holding a mortgage for the buyer. And why would go ahead and tell them why someone like me might want to do that, Donna, from your perspective?
Well, there are lots of reasons, but I think a big reason is because of the tax benefits. So you don't have to worry about taking the capital gains all at one time.
Right.
If you carry back a note or notes, if you've got multiple properties, you can spread out your capital gains over time. So that's a great reason. And also, if you don't really, if you don't need the cash right now, you're just wanting a reserve for the future.
Right.
Um, why not keep your money invested in the property as long as you don't have the headaches? And then, so you carry back a note, and then if you do need the money, or when you do
Yeah.
need the money, then you simply sell the note. And so it's a great way to really maximize your profit on a property. Why sell a property, get all your cash out, and then try to figure out what you're going to do with it when
Yeah.
you could leave it invested in the property?
Yeah, got it. So, like, basically, if I wasn't going to do a 1031 exchange, which I decided not to, because we had a lot of rental properties, and we really wanted to start trying to kind of liquidate a little bit, right, and minimize that portfolio. We're not getting rid of all of our rental properties. I'm not. If you're listening to me, I'm not saying get rid of everything. It's not what I said. But we did. We are getting rid of a big chunk of them. Specifically, more so for me, my husband said, hey, if something happens to you, I don't want to be dealing with all these properties and we're at the top of the market, Wendy, let's sell them. So we decided not to 1031 exchange them and put them into a like kind property. We decided let's pay the capital gains, and do long term gains and spread that out over time.
So, Wendy, I think
Yeah.
that is a great idea. But I want to tell you, we need to get together before you really start doing a lot of those.
Okay.
Because when you carry back a note, the value is determined when you originate it. So I
Oh,
can help you with the best way to structure the deal, how much of a down payment, what interest rate, how long of a term, should you have a balloon, all of those kind of things, so that when you are ready to sell it, that you'll get top dollar for it. Okay,
yeah.
that's really important.
Yeah. Okay. Good point. And you're right because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. I may need to use the cash for some other opportunity or may need it for some other personal reason. You just never know when you might need to sell that note. Now, no, typically when you sell a note, and this is kind of what you're going to be talking about Thursday evening and Saturday, right?
Right?
Where now put yourself in the other shoes. You're the investor, and you're going to want to find people like me who might be having holding a note. It could be one
Right.
place you buy from, or you could be buying from institutions, right, or that type of
Well,
thing. Or do you
usually
usually buy from private?
when you buy from institutions, usually that's for the non-performing notes.
Got
Okay,
it.
very seldom do we buy a non-performing note from a privately held as a
Got it.
privately held note, because those people know they can either negotiate and get a deed in lieu, or they can foreclose and get the property. So they typically don't sell a private note. But
Got
if
it.
you want to make a lot of money on the non-performing notes, by all means, you buy those from an institution, because typically they will take huge discounts on selling their non-performing notes.
Got it. So let's talk about performing and non-performing. Just give for some people that are maybe brand new, they don't even really know what a note and mortgage is, what a performing or non-performing note or mortgage is. Kind of just give a little overview too, Donna. I know you're going to talk about this Thursday, but for those who maybe not even sure, hey, is this a topic I'm interested in? Why they would want to be there to learn about these notes and mortgages.
Well, I started out with the performing notes, and honestly, that's my favorite.
Okay.
I love them. They've always been my bread and butter. I can count on them, and I enjoy working those. However, I've also done more than my share of non-performing notes. I used to have a staff of 7 or 8 people, and we'd run a pipeline of 50 deals. And at that point, we were doing quite a few of the non-performing notes, where we were working with banks and hedge funds and stuff like that. Um, you can make a lot of money on the non-performing notes. However, it's really important that you know what you're doing, because you can also lose a lot of money on them. If you don't know what you're doing, like some people will just buy one non-performing note and they think it's going to be a home run, where normally you need to buy several of them at a time, so that, because some of them will just not pay out, or they don't work out like you planned, and that kind of thing. Um, Overall, non-performing notes, I do think you can make considerable money on them, but they are much riskier in comparison to the seller carrybacks, and you definitely need to have some cash behind you.
So
With the
basically,
seller,
because the non-performing, let me just stop you for a second, Donna.
yeah,
So the non-performing notes would be, when someone is not paying the mortgage, which and
correct.
it's in pre-foreclosure, foreclosure, and that's why the institution wants to get it off their books. They want to dump it. They
Yes,
really are not in the business of foreclosing and owning properties. They want to get them off their books. So
yes,
that would be where you would buy the non-performing. And the performing
exactly.
notes are the ones that the person is, it's just a privately held note, right? And
Yes,
they are performing and they're paying the mortgage, and so you're buying something that is solid, really,
right,
for the most part.
exactly.
Okay.
So, Wendy, I used to do a whole lot of non-performing notes, and without a doubt, you can make really, really great profits with them, but they are riskier, and you definitely need to have some cash behind you if you're going to get involved in the non-performing notes.
It
Whereas,
is.
like with the seller carrybacks, you don't need any cash to get started, and you can make a lot of money on the non-performing. No,
So
I'm not on performing notes, just
yeah,
flipping them.
so the non-performing, one of the reasons you would need more cash is because if you have to hire an attorney to foreclose to get that property back because they're not performing,
You
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 got to
would
be ready to pay the bucks and wait a long time for that, right?
Exactly, but I will tell you that on most of mine, normally I'm able to negotiate and get a deed in lieu of foreclosure,
Oh,
so I don't have attorney's costs. But what I really have to be prepared for are if there are any tax assessments, if there are unforeseen
good point.
repairs, if you might need to cut grass, you could get building orders, all kinds of stuff
City
like that.
fines, all those things because the grass wasn't mowed and garbage was in the yard or
Exactly.
whatever didn't get done. Penalties. Yeah, you're
If
right. If
you
they're
have
not paying the
payment,
mortgage, they're probably not paying much else. And it's kind of like
exactly.
anytime you foreclose on someone or you buy a foreclosure, it is kind of it's a tougher situation, right? I mean, there could be other things going on there that might make it more expensive.
Exactly.
Got it.
So,
Okay.
and you might decide that you're going to only buy non-performing notes where the people are going to stay in the house, and so you could do a modification of mortgage. Like, for example, if they're $20,000 behind, you could tack that on into to the end of the note and restructure
Yeah.
the payments. And a lot of people, they'll say, okay, well, that's going to be my method of operation. That's what I'm going to do. And they buy these notes, and then they find out that most of them, the people are long gone. Now they're stuck with the property that they have to repair, fix up, and sell or rent or whatever they're going to do with it. So I think the reason why they're more
Yeah.
risky is there are so many unknowns. So
Right.
you really have to be prepared with just about anything.
Got it. So really, if you're going to buy non-performing, you have to be kind of ready for other aspects of investing that go along with it, which is great for someone like me. I like all kinds of real estate investing aspects, right?
Yes.
I like rehabbing, I like buy and hold, I like this note idea. I, that works well. But if you want to be like a hands-off kind of person, then maybe the performing is much better for you.
Absolutely. Also, you have a
Okay.
team of people. You can send somebody over to do the repairs
Yeah,
or
yeah,
paint or, take care of whatever you need. But
right.
as an individual investor who does not have other rental properties, who does not have a team of rehabbers or maintenance
Yeah.
people, you might think twice about it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, you mentioned that you don't need money or credit to do the mortgages and notes. And of course, that's one of my favorite topics, right? No money or no credit to do things. So tell me how you would do that, Donna. Explain how you would buy a note or mortgage without any money or credit. How that works.
It is so awesome and it's so easy. This is how I started like over 30 years ago, and I was babysitting five kids for $1 an hour,
Woo.
okay? Plus four of my own that I didn't get paid for. So I had no money to invest in. And what you do is you're going to get a note under contract to buy, and then you follow my method of you can either assign the contract or you can do a simultaneous close, and you flip it to an investor. And you're using your investor's money to buy the note originally. So it's not like you got to buy it first and come up with the money or borrow the
Yeah,
money to buy it and then sell it. It's all done as one transaction. And even to this day, I do that all the time because a lot of times my money's already tied up. Well,
yeah.
if I get a great deal, why should I pass on it when I could simply flip it to somebody else using my end buyer's cash, and I might put $15,000 in my pocket?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's very similar to investing in other kinds of real estate investing. Buying a house, this is just buying the note that secures the house or the house is secured by, right? It's,
Exactly. We're
but
dealing with the paper
yeah,
instead of the property.
yeah. So it's the instrument or whatever you call it, right?
Right.
Versus the real property. But it's very similar. It's the same kind of, thing where you could tie up a property with a purchase agreement. Same kind of thing with a note, I would guess.
A note
Uh,
purchase
a
agreement,
note
yes.
purchase agreement, and you could assign it just like a wholesaler does the real estate. But instead, they're wholesaling the notes. I mean, my head's
Exactly.
thinking right now, ding, 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 guys. There's a lot of people out there right now who are saying, "Oh gosh, I'm having a hard time finding great deals right now in real estate." Well, here you go. Here's a great way for you to do some additional wholesale deals or buy and hold deals, but they're with the note instead of the actual real estate. I mean, you could end up
Exactly.
at the real estate, but more likely if you're buying performing, it's going to be the return on investment that you're getting. So explain how the return
Exactly.
on investment from the aspect of the investor, they're buying this note. Obviously, let's say it's $100,000 note. I'm simplifying this a lot, I know, and you'll go into a lot more detail. But let's say they're buying $100,000 note that's worth 100. There's still 100,000 owed. They've been receiving payments. The person put down payment down. Obviously, when you're buying that as an investor, you're not going to buy it for 100. You're going to buy it for
Correct.
something less than that.
So you might buy it for 80 and turn around and sell it to an investor for 90. So the investors got a great deal
Yeah.
because they bought it for 10,000 less than
Right.
what was owed, and you got a great deal because you flipped it and made the other 10,000.
Yeah.
So one of the things that is so cool about investing in notes is there are two profit centers. People think, well, gosh, most seller carryback notes, at most you might have a 10% interest rate on the note. But that's just one way that you make money. You also make money on the discount because just like
Right.
we showed you there, instead of paying 100,000, you built in $20,000 profit because you only paid 80 for it. So you're making 20,000 plus 7 or 8%, whatever's paid on the
Right.
note. And that's what enables you to get super high returns. And let me just
Yeah.
explain this real quick because it's so simple. People think that notes are some sophisticated thing and how can I get a 75% return? It's because of the time value of money. If I buy this note at a $20,000 discount, and instead of getting that over the next 30 years, what if you help them refinance and in 6 months they pay
Oh,
off? Now you get your $20,000 back in no time at all. And that's what
Huge
makes your rate
returns.
of return go through the roof. So you take your
Yeah.
money and go buy another note at a discount. And
Yeah.
that's how you can grow an IRA really, really fast.
So let's say so you're looking to buy one of these deals, and what if you don't have the 80 grand to buy it? Is that where you might buy it, like get the contract for 80 and flip it to someone else for 90? Or maybe
That's all
partner
I
with
would do.
someone. You could partner with someone who has the money. You find the note, you manage the
Honestly,
books
I
on
think
it.
it's better to flip it.
Okay.
Partnering, sometimes you might get with a partner that you don't want to be
Oh,
with,
right,
or you
right.
could
Good
have
point.
disagreements when it is so easy to flip the note. Now, I also have some advanced strategies where sometimes I will borrow the note or borrow money to buy the note, and then I keep any early payoff on it. Those are some advanced strategies, and I just put $40,000 in my self-directed IRA using techniques similar to this.
Yeah.
Just last summer, I did this. So,
Wow.
I mean, there's lots of cool things you can do. You could buy the whole note and only sell part of it. You could sell enough to cover your purchase price, so you have no money
Wow.
invested, but you keep the whole tail end of the note.
Wow.
So
So
I
that's
call
what,
that my arbitrage, where I
yeah.
wind up, let's say, with this balloon, and I don't even have any of my own money invested in it.
I
It is so
love it.
cool.
I
And
love it.
then I help the borrower to refinance. That balloon pays off early, and I wind up with 50 grand, and I don't even have a dime of my own money invested in it.
Now you're going to go through this in a lot more detail on Saturday also, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's going to be great. And then so Thursday night you're going to be here. You're going to be in Michigan live. And for people that want to be on Zoom, that you'll be on Zoom with us.
Yes.
And then on Saturday you'll be here all day live also
Yes.
to go over these details and how this works and how I mean you just like I mean I've heard of that before about the selling a personal note, but wow, it is a deeper strategy, more advanced, but also very simple when you know how to do it and you do one or two of those deals becomes probably very, very easy.
It
Right.
absolutely is. I mean, it is very systematic,
Yeah.
and even like if people are afraid of the calculations, I have a very simple way. It's a systemized format for doing your calculations.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking I might do that on Saturday and get into that so
Yeah.
people can see how easy it is to do the calculations on it. I thought what I'd do, Wendy, is Thursday night I'll go over a variety of different things that you can do.
Okay.
But on Saturday, I'll actually show how you do them. Okay.
Ooh,
That way
okay.
people get the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. And now Saturday you're here. What time to what time?
It's going to be 9 to 4.
9 to 4. So you're not going to want to miss it. Donna's going to pour out her heart and her brains
Absolutely.
on all of her
Yeah.
systems to share with you how you can do this. So I mean, I'm guessing just because of what you're saying, that's why you pretty much prefer notes and mortgages over owning property. Is that right?
Absolutely. I can make more money, and I don't have all the headaches of. I keep
Yeah.
saying tenants, trash, and toilets, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
true.
It's true.
And I don't have headaches of getting properties back that I have to rehab or they're full
Yeah.
of trash and stuff like that.
Yeah. And you're going to talk, you mentioned a little bit about how you just put 40 grand into your self-directed a Roth IRA, right?
Yes, absolutely, a Roth.
Yeah.
Good
And
call. I'm glad you said that.
yeah, Roth, I'm sure of that. Because when you have that kind of profit, you want it to go into your Roth for sure,
Yes.
where it becomes
Yes.
tax-free for you when you pull that out. And I think that's going to be a huge opportunity for people that, especially if you have a job right now, or you don't need the money now, or you're doing other types of investing. You can leave some investing outside of your IRA that helps you live, that or creates the lifestyle that you want to live before you retire. But when you can put extra money into that Roth IRA, where you can flip your best, most profitable deals in there, that
And
is huge, huge.
And if your Roth is seasoned for 5 years
Yeah.
and you're of age, you could actually be running those deals through your IRA, have your Roth,
Oh, yeah. All of
self-directed
them.
IRA, do the deal, make $15,000 because you flipped a note inside your IRA to somebody else, and the next day pull the 15,000 out and go spend it. Tax-free.
Wow. Well, we have some people watching this, I'm sure, that are over 59 and a half and that have had the Roth IRA set up. I'm getting closer than I'd like to admit. Oh,
I hear
Oh,
you.
and I'll
So,
tell you what, and I wish I had put more things through my Roth IRA over the years instead of paying Uncle Sam these taxes. And now especially because we are hearing that the tax rate could go up significantly, right? So these
mhm,
are some more important things of why you really want to protect as much of your assets tax free as you can through protecting it in your Roth IRA and taking
absolutely.
only what you really need to live on outside of that IRA.
And with the notes, it's very easy to do that.
It's
It's
awesome.
much easier than if you're putting properties in your IRA. Plus, they're much easier to manage. I mean,
Yeah,
you just don't have all the expenses that you have with the property,
yeah.
and you don't have to worry as much about, are you working on the property? Oh no, I've got to hire somebody to do that, because you don't do that kind of stuff with a note. So it's
Yeah.
much easier.
Yeah, so with the note, it's kind of like having a property manager with your tenants. You just get your check every month.
Well, you can even just
Yeah.
use a servicer.
Oh,
So a lot of people are using servicers. It's become much more common nowadays
oh. Well,
to
wouldn't they just
hold.
send it to you directly, or you like a third party?
It's better to have a third party. I
Got it.
used to have them send the money to me, and then I would send it on to my IRA. But it's much better
Oh, got it.
to just have them send it directly to the IRA, or send them to the servicer who
Got
sends
it.
it to the IRA.
So third servicer just cashes the check, makes sure it clears, and then moves it to where it's supposed to go, and kind of
Exactly.
charges like what do they charge a month per person? 20, 30
Usually like
bucks?
18 to
Oh,
$20 in that neighborhood. So it's really well worth it. Plus, you don't have to fool with the 1098s at the end of the year. They do
they
that
do
for you.
that for you? Oh, and then can they give you a payoff
Yes,
at any time?
yes. They handle all of that.
Woo!
And also, if they are escrowing for taxes and insurance, you never ever want to hold a note where there's an escrow involved.
Yeah.
Absolutely do not do that. You just have a servicer hold that note. It's like $100 setup fee and the 18 to $20 a month. It's well worth it. They handle all the
Yeah.
payments. It's definitely worth the money on that.
Yeah, especially in escrow because I mean if you don't do that exactly right you can be in trouble, right? You have certain
Exactly.
rules about how much you can keep, how much you can't keep, and how you
Yes.
track
Yes.
it, and it's much better. That's a great idea. That's a really
Yes.
great idea. Okay,
I
good.
highly
So that gives a little bit of a wet their whistle type of thing. What else would you like to say before we end our conversation about why they're going to want to be there Thursday night, Saturday? Why why this technique is so important in today's market?
in today's market, I will tell you, business is really booming. I mean, it truly is. When I first heard of the pandemic
Yeah,
and the quarantine and everything,
yeah,
quite honestly, I went back to my mortgages. I thought, oh my gosh, what if they can't pay for 3 months or 6 months or whatever?
yeah,
And I realized that it hardly, if I were just to grant them a moratorium and say, look, times are rough right now. I tell you what, don't make payments for 90 days. I'll tack those payments onto the end of the note. My return might go down like 1/4%. And I mean, we're talking, I bought it at a
yeah,
15% yield when you're making those kind of
yeah.
returns, you know. And so you can truly help people. But what amazed me, Wendy, was the number of note sellers that need cash. And so, from the safety of your
Oh
own
yeah,
home, you don't even have to leave your house using other people's money. You can find these seller carrybacks and get them under contract, flip them to somebody else, and you're doing a real service to the note seller because you're giving them the cash they need and you're making money in the process without ever leaving your home. So it's
wow,
awesome for
yeah.
this particular market.
Yeah, that sounds really great. Well, and I'm just going to do a little shout out and say that anyone who ends up working with you, Donna, and doing notes and mortgages that wants to flip to someone, I'm one of the people that want to buy those notes and mortgages. So
There you
make sure
go.
you look me up. I mean, you already have a potential buyer for some of those
Perfect.
notes and mortgages that would understand the concept of, I'm not an expert in notes and mortgages by any means, although I'd like to learn a lot more from you, Donna. You are the expert and you're the person I would learn from to make sure that I can do this technique, and because you already know what's proven, what works, what doesn't work. So you're the person I would learn from, and I will learn from. And then also those of you that are learning from Donna, please, consider me as one of those buyers if you're out finding a deal. Just like the wholesalers always tell them, hey, add me to your list. I'm a buyer.
We're,
Same
we're
thing
going
with
to be
this.
calling you, Wendy,
I
and,
know.
and I will help you with everything, okay?
Yeah.
And as you're selling off your properties, I will help you and show you how to create notes that will give you top dollar when you go to sell them.
Excellent.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah, and
Okay?
you're going to talk a little bit about that, I think, on Saturday too.
Yes,
What makes a note a little more valuable? What makes it less valuable? Now, just one real quick thing
absolutely.
for teaser. What kind of average returns do you see on notes and mortgages? What is your average?
Wendy, if I told you, you would not believe me.
Well, I'm interested.
I mean, yeah, well, if you negotiate the early payoffs, you buy at a discount, and
Yeah.
you negotiate an early payoff, and it was a long-term note, and you're going to get your discount early. I mean, seriously, you can get over 50%, 50, 75, 95%. I'm going to
Whoa.
show an example of one of my students who had like a 97% or 95%. But
Wow.
even on notes that don't have a huge profit built in, you should average it with the early payoffs a minimum of 15%
Okay.
on your early
Good.
payoff notes.
So it's going
And
to be like as good as like a hard money lender, and yet maybe a lot better. It's kind
it's
of
a
got the
lot better because with the hard money loans, you don't get the benefit of the discount.
okay. So
You
those
get
of
your
you,
nice rate of return and maybe a prepayment penalty, but that pales in comparison to getting the early payoff when you bought it at a discount. So it's way
wow,
better than private loans.
yeah,
Plus, you have a pay history. If you're buying a note and someone's made payments on time every month for a year or 2 years, that's a much safer investment than creating a new note for someone.
right, right, and that's really what you're looking for is those safer performing. That's what a performing mortgage would be. And then, of course, if they're paying you 5, 6, 7, 8, 9%, whatever that might be on the note, plus the discount you got, that's a huge rate of return. But if
That's what makes it sweet. Yes.
yes, yes, but if you could help them get back into commercial, a conventional loan at 2.5, 3% they are right now, but around three probably, then
Yep.
it's going to save them half the money. So they're going to want to try to get it refinanced if they
Exactly.
can. So that's where that
Exactly.
early payoff comes in, right?
Yes.
Got
Absolutely.
it.
And hey, you
It's
let it
clicking,
slip about
Donna.
you let it slip about commercial.
Yeah,
We buy commercial notes as well.
yeah,
Everything I teach can also be done with commercial notes.
very nice. Yes. And I would think a lot of
I see the
commercial.
wheels are turning.
Yeah, they are. They're like tick, 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 tick. I mean, I'm sorry if there's anyone listening and watching this that I'm a hard money lender to, and I say, no, I'm making more on Donna's stuff and notes and mortgages. You'll know why.
We definitely need to get together.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely do. Yes, and I will see you, I'm sure. I will see you this weekend. So,
Yes.
okay, great.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much for your time, Donna. And I really want to encourage you guys. Check the link below. I think that's where Olivia will probably paste it. After we record this, she'll probably put a link where you can register for Thursday evening and Saturday. You're not going to want to miss this. You can see that Donna knows her stuff. She's a really interesting speaker to listen to. She's a wealth of knowledge, and she's a real deal. She's still doing notes and mortgages. You want to make sure when you are listening to someone for advice that they're the people that are still doing what they're teaching you, right? That they're
Absolutely.
in it and they're doing it. So thank you very much, Donna.
Thank you for having me on. I can't wait to see everybody Thursday night and all day Saturday.
Yep.
I promise you it will be a real treat for you.
Yes, I know it will be. Okay, get registered.